Hi and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the LeadForwardSummit 2026. My name is Eva Johansson and I will be the moderator for this session. I am a mentor here at the Mentoring Club and I am very excited to share with you this session. This is about leaders in motion on purpose. Now, some housekeeping rules to start with. Keep your microphones muted unless instructed. That way we avoid the background noise. The chat is enabled, so feel free to ask questions throughout the conversation, and the workshop leader will address them where appropriate. Sorry, I'm going to get some notes in case I get my mind off things. Now, this workshop is called Network Navigators, Building Relationship That Compound. And I want to introduce you to the workshop facilitator, Jorim Holte-Weber, who is the founder and lead coach. Now, it's my great pleasure to leave this with Jorim and let him take over. Jorim, over to you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here and to talk about this interesting topic of networking. I have a personal relationship with this topic, let's say, of always having known that it is important, but not having found for a long time a way to do it that I actually enjoyed and that was actually, let's say, working well. And yeah, I come to you and want to actually start sharing a little bit about myself, go through 3 different key values maybe of networking, and share stories of myself as well, and give you some exercises. So this is going to be somewhat interactive. You are invited to submit comments. We're going to have a look at them. Eva's going to help me to see what the trends are and then talk about them, maybe in between, maybe only at the end. And we'll have some time at the end reserved for a Q&A. And with that, I would actually like to start sharing my slides. One thing that I really like about the Mentoring Club, where I am a mentor, is the internationality. And I wanted to introduce myself a little bit by this half circle. So I'm German, born in Germany, grew up in Germany. And from there, I moved to Spain and learned Spanish. That was my first international experience. As you might guess, networking was important for that, for being in a new country, being in a new city, in a new environment. And after I shortly came back to Germany and then went on to do my bachelor's in psychology in the Netherlands. Again, new situation, new country, new language, and again, networking was important. I went to Portugal for a couple of months as an exchange student. Then I went back to the Netherlands. I went to the UK for a couple of months to work. Then I went to Brazil to work as a volunteer, teaching English. And right now I'm back in Spain, to the second country I've ever lived in. And in all of these different situations, and of course there have been many more, networking was important. And when I say networking, I actually mean networking in a very broad sense. Networking, not just professionally, but relationship building. Because when I think about networking, I really think about relationship building, intentional relationship building. And I want to put a question into the room, and you can write some opinions in the chat, which is, why network? What is the reason, the purpose behind networking? We can go to the next slide. Let's see if you have some answers. And these can be personal answers. These can be answers that you think other people have, for like reasons other people might have for networking. You will see that there are quite some different kind of answers. There are different reasons to do this. There may be more professional reasons. There may be more short-term reasons, maybe more long-term reasons. And I want to share 2 examples with you right now for reasons that I've networked. And I'm going to tie that in with a little bit of more information about myself. Let's go to the next slide. So on the left, you see a big stage on which I'm speaking. This was 2 years ago in Porto, Portugal. And I'm speaking to young entrepreneurs about communication and leadership. The way I got there was by networking. This was with an organization called the European Innovation Academy. Back in 2018, I started working as a coach, and I connected with other coaches just to know what they were up to know who was there in the same region that I was living in. And I met Anish. And Anish had worked for the European Innovation Academy before, and now in 2018 they were looking for a coach. He recommended me. I got in. That was because of networking. And I didn't even know that that was going to happen. And within the organization, I networked, meaning I built relationships, and I thought proactively, what else could I do? I was coaching one-on-one and teams, and I thought there's a certain topic that comes up again and again. So it would actually make much more sense to address this to the whole audience rather than in one conversation and then another conversation and then another conversation. So I said, "Hey, if you'd like, I could do this as a workshop because I'm just repeating myself." And in 2018, it didn't happen, but in 2019, it did happen because this is an annual event. And then, well, over the years, the stage grew. So this is a professional example where networking on different levels and in different ways, relationship building in different ways, has played a big role for me being able to be on stage. On the right, I'm not on stage, I'm on a tree, and that is actually in the Philippines at the Mount Calawitan, where I participated in a mountain marathon. And also there, that was a result of building relationships. I was in the city of Baguio in the mountains, and I got to know people there because I wanted to, you know, get to know people, have people to hang out with, have people to chat with, have people to learn from. And one of them was a runner. I told him that I had looked at this marathon that I found interesting, and he said, "Oh, I'm going too." So I would not have been able to go there because I didn't know how to get there because it was far in the mountains and there was no bus, no public bus to get there. But through the relationship building, even though I didn't know that was going to be the outcome, I was able to go and have a great time and have people that I knew, and I even had a place to stay at. I was intentional with building relationships, with building friendships, and because of that, I had a great time. It's not what you know, but who you know that makes the difference. I've noticed this a lot in my professional life where I like things to be perfect. There's probably a little bit of cultural baggage that I carry with me as a German, that I want things to be neat and clean and tidy and perfect, ideally. I'd like my knowledge to be perfect, the what to be perfect. I've also gotten to know over the time that it is actually more important to talk about things with people. Even though I'm not 100% there, not 100% ready to do something new, it makes sense to already talk about it. Because in the end, the opportunity in life, they depend on other people. Yes, also on what I know, but more so on the other people that I know. Let's go over to an exercise on the next slide. I would like you to get something to write and answer these three questions to get clarity. What is your reason to want to network? Reason could be more opportunities to learn about a certain topic. It could be to get promoted. It could be to find a job. It could be to find a mentor. It could be to find a romantic partner, friendships, anything. Write down what is the reason for you. And then when you're ready, we can move on to the next question, which is who do you want to connect with? So you have the reason, and then based on that, who's the person? Who are the people that you're most interested in being connected with, that are most relevant to your reason? And I'll give you an example. So I work with startup accelerators, and I do mentoring and coaching for startup founders. My reason to network in that specific case would be to do more of that, to coach more, to mentor more founders. Who do I want to connect with? Well, it is either the founders directly or the people who organize these events that are called accelerators. And why? Well, because if I know them, they're more likely to invite me to come and mentor at their programs. And I'm interested in that because of my reason. I want to coach and mentor more founders. Okay, once you're done with that, we move on to the third. What can you offer them? So the people that you want to connect with, what can you offer them? So I'm going to continue with my professional example, and then we'll take a personal example too. What is it that I can offer to these program organizers, program coordinators? I can offer that through my help, the communication in the teams of startups is better. And because of that, they perform better. Now, that is a metric that is important to them because they are evaluated on the quality of the group. I could maybe offer some other things. I could maybe offer international experience and insights. So I've worked in a lot of different countries with people from over 40 different nationalities, and I can bring that in, and that could be a selling point. This is a bit more theoretical, so actually what would be even better is that I can offer them something right now in the moment of connecting with them. So let's say maybe I'm at a networking event, maybe I'm on LinkedIn or on Instagram, and I connect with a person. What is it I can offer them in that moment? So for your people that you want to connect with, what is something that you can offer right away? Something that you have that they could be interested in. This could be an opinion, a piece of knowledge, connecting them with someone, doing something for them. There can be a lot of different things that you could do for them that could be valuable to them. I'll give you an example. I had a call with a potential client yesterday, and they were interested in having me as a coach for their team members. And the team members are composed of mostly two different nationalities, US Americans and Filipinos. I've worked with both nationalities and I've seen the friction that comes with cultural differences between Filipinos and US Americans. And I'm even writing a book on that. Okay, so I can already tell long term, if I work with you, I can bring that. But what is it I can give you right now? And I sent them a 6-page guide, kind of like a summary of the book that I'm writing. Or even though it's not done yet, I already wrote a summary of what I've already written. That is something that is already useful for them. Now, let's think of a more personal example. Maybe you're in a new city and you want to get to know people just because you want to know people and have friends and enjoy your social life. So there you can also think, what is it that you can offer? Maybe you can offer a good conversation. Maybe you can offer some kind of mental sparring. Maybe you can offer talking about philosophy. It doesn't have to be anything tangible. It can also be something more intellectual or more emotional. You can offer having a good time together. Courage. Now that you have this clarity of how and who you want to approach, networking often takes courage. It definitely does take courage for me. This is one of the values that I think is good to carry out, to practice when it comes to networking. What I mean with courage is not just noticing a good idea, but acting on it. Taking the courage and doing something with it. It could be speaking to someone. It could be writing an email, an SMS, calling someone. It could be going to an event even though you know nobody there. That is courage. That is oftentimes, and for most people, necessary when it comes to networking, and not just at the beginning. Vulnerability is necessary to build deep relationships. So we're in the game of building intentional relationships. Courage at the beginning is one thing, but then courage later is still important. I'll give you an example. So in 2018, I was at this European Innovation Academy that I talked about before, and all the mentors were invited to a dinner, and there were mentors and sponsors and other people, and I was there as a good German, right on time at 7 p.m., and there were just 3 other people there because most of them were coming late. So I got there. I didn't know any of them. I got introduced. I don't remember the first 2 people, but I remember the third person was Daniel Trassa, who was the dean of the business school, Nova SBE. I had just graduated. I was 10 years younger, well, 8 years younger, and I felt intimidated to be shaking the hand of the dean of the business school. And I also had this thought, I would like to coach at a business school. That would be so cool. And I was standing there next to him. I just got introduced to him. Nobody was talking. And I took the courage of just opening my mouth and letting words out. And I said, Danielle, do you have coaches at Nova SB? And he said, no, we don't. But that would be a good idea. Do you have a business card? And I handed him my business card. Nothing came of it afterwards. But that moment was critical for me because I could have thought, well, I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't have a script ready. I didn't have a perfect pitch, but I had this quick insight, this quick idea, and I opened my mouth. It didn't lead to me coaching there, but I did get a meeting with the people responsible, and we had some discussions on what would be possible in the end. Well, nothing happened, but it was important for me to, in that moment, notice I'm not gonna wait. I don't need to prepare myself because the question that I have is actually really simple, or the desire that I have is actually very simple. You might not even know what you want to do, like especially in a professional sense. You might have the feeling of it would be cool to work with this person or for this company, but you don't have like a concrete example. In my case, it was coaching, but maybe it isn't. And there's a sentence I want to give you. The sentence is, how can I contribute? How can I contribute? So maybe somebody's telling you about this new project or this new client or this new thing they're doing, or maybe this new company they're working for, and you can ask, how can I contribute? I did this to a fellow mentor at the same event, and um, 4 years later, we kept in touch. 4 years later, he invited me to record a series of videos for a Thunderbird business school in the US. That didn't come from nothing. That came through intentional long-term relationship building. That was 4 years in the making to get that invitation. Courage means, in this case, with these examples, having an idea and putting it out there in the world.
Just going to say that you got some really good feedback on that one from Alyssa, who says that she loves your example there.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, great. Keep it coming. Which is service. In relationship building, it is important to listen, to ask questions, and as a coach, I'm trained in having conversations, a specific type of conversations. And one of the hardest things that I notice when I teach coaching to my students is listening without thinking at the same time what to say next. But if you're able to do that, that in itself is a service. And it will allow you to connect much more deeply to the other person. Most of us, most of the time, in most conversations, while the other person says something, we're already thinking of what am I going to respond? Meaning that we're doing two things at the same time. We're listening and we're thinking what to say. And when we're doing two things at the same time, we're not doing them with such high quality as we could if we were just doing one thing. In this example, listening. So, listening in itself is a service. Asking questions can be a service. And the examples I gave before play into this. What is it that you can offer to that other person in this conversation or in the future? Could be tangible or intangible. It could be listening. It could be having a good conversation about an interesting topic. It could be information that you give them, opinions. I like this design, but the color could be a little bit different. And it could be tangible. I can give you a ride tomorrow, no worries. For me, the biggest change in how I approach networking was when I flipped the switch to service on in the conversations. And especially in such a digital world, this is something that can make quite a difference when it comes to following up. So maybe you've connected with somebody already and you want to stay in touch, and you're connected with them on LinkedIn or WhatsApp or whatever platform. So one thing you can do is just write a message. Hey, been thinking of you. How are you doing? That's fine. But what if you were to take a moment before you send that message and think, is there any way I can be of service to that person? And think about, okay, in the last conversations, we talked about him going abroad and then coming back and then traveling again. Is there anything that I could provide that could be valuable for her? And if you can, offer that. In my case, send that PDF, those 6 pages on cultural differences, right? It could be recommendations. It could be, oh, I just had a friend who went to the place that you're going to. If you want to have any recommendations, I can ask her or I can connect the two of you. That brings more life to the conversation. And it makes it more interesting for the other person to have a conversation with you. The currency of real networking is not greed, but generosity. I am relatively active on LinkedIn. I used to be much more active, and I have a lot of people contacting me, wanting to be connected with me, trying to do networking, but it's not real networking because all they want is they want something from me. They want my attention. They want to pitch me something. They want me to pay for something they offer. That is not real networking. There have been cases that I can probably count with one hand of people who, yes, they had an intention to use LinkedIn as a professional network, that it is. They did want to see if I was interested in buying something from them, but they came with generosity. They came with service of listening, of asking, of providing something, rather than wanting something from me. Sure, they wanted my attention as well, but yeah, generosity opened the door to me actually writing back. All the other guys, I disconnected. I didn't reply. But these couple of people, probably 3 or 4, I actually had a conversation with. And I enjoyed the conversation. I didn't end up buying in these cases, but I enjoyed the conversation. I learned something. I felt like I actually connected with a human, not just somebody who copy-pasted things in LinkedIn. I like tying things together. So I started with the value of courage. Then we went to service, and now we go to action. Action connects back to courage. In the end, we all have great ideas. And I work a lot with startups, and there's this saying, nobody cares about your idea. People care about your execution. If you're able to put in the action, especially continued action over time, that is going to give you rewards. Now, you all probably know of the benefits of habits. Those are continued actions over time. So networking, real networking, only happens when there is action. And there are tools that we can use to help us. There are reminders we can set. There are online tools that we can use to see a person on a screen. There are all kinds of different things that we can search for online. In the end, it is about action. It's not about intention. The intention changes how you act, but the intention without the action doesn't really matter. Today, this morning, I had a call with a previous client of mine, and last summer he said, Joram, coaching with you was good, but I want to do it by myself. So let's, leave it for now. Let's stay in touch, but not continue coaching for now. I said, sure. When shall we connect again? So we connected again in October. We sent some messages back and forth, and then we decided that in the new year we would have a call. So one action led to the next action, and I, put myself a reminder in my calendar. Reached out to him a couple of weeks ago. We scheduled a call. Had a call today, where we just talked about life, where we built a relationship, where we deepened the relationship that we had, which previously was mostly commercial and now is more than just that. Why do I want that? Because I like having relationships, because I like being in contact with people that I like being around. So it is about taking action. And there are things that can help you take action. Service is one of them. So I'm tying these three values together. Service makes it easier to act and take a first step, or maybe a second step, a follow-up step, because it is not something hollow, not something in vain. You're reaching out to someone with a purpose of serving them, with the purpose of being of service to them, which is completely different than just a hey, how have you been doing? Would be great to catch up. Which is, it's an okay message. I'm just saying that the action becomes even easier if you connect it with service. I would like to move on to our Q&A session. I've talked for about 35 minutes, 34 minutes, and this is a little introduction of a series of 5 workshops that we're going to do in June on the same topic, and in which we're going to use these 3 values and take them even further, maybe talk about the strategies, talk about maybe some things that you might ask right now, and I can already give you some ideas, some answers. You can scan the QR code for more information. But for now, I'd be really interested in hearing what resonated, what do you have questions about, what don't you understand?
I can see Abanda Sabala has raised their hand. Do you want to go ahead and talk to us?
Yeah, thank you so much, Eva. Great being there. I'm a mentee of Lizel Mendoza, and she's a kind lady, and she's taking me from darkness to light, and I'm really honored to be one of her mentees. My question is that would you like to get us some light on LinkedIn and how to grow network on LinkedIn? And we are facing the real problem, as the speaker said, that ideas are just nothing but the execution. Yes, it is the problem. Would you like to elaborate a little more how to execute ideas, because people, I mean, like, we are pregnant with ideas, but there's no delivery. So that's
Mhm.
execution. So I would love to ask this to the
Yeah,
speaker. Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much. Let me preface this with, in my experience, the relationship building that you do outside of LinkedIn is more powerful than the one you do inside of LinkedIn. It can start on LinkedIn, but what I always try is to add another channel to it, ideally in person. That's always, of course, not always possible, but a video call is much better than just being connected on LinkedIn and writing messages. When it comes to the execution of networking on LinkedIn, I think it is, depending on who you want to connect with, a pretty crowded space already. So the things that we talked about, especially service, become even more important in that environment. Identify who is it that you want to connect with, the type of person, the specific people, and then really ask yourself and take some time to answer the question of how to be of service with them. So that could include spending time in their feed and seeing what they're posting. That could be maybe checking out other social channels of them to see what, what they're posting on Instagram, for example, that is a little bit more personal. The thing that catches a person's eye is when a message is really personal. So when I get a message, "Hey Jerome, I was just wondering, what do you do with the mentoring club?" I'm not gonna reply because it's too generic. But if somebody reacts to something that I wrote and posted about, the likelihood that I'm going to respond is pretty high. So reach out to people that are interesting to you, but make it as personal as possible and take your time to make it personal. There's no rush. Well, maybe there's rush from your end, but if you go in it with a rush, then the other person might notice that and not respond. Does that help?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, John. I mean, can I get an additive question? I mean, add-ons are allowed or not?
Go ahead.
Okay, okay, thank you so much. I currently, it's been like 8 months. I am working on LinkedIn for the networking, and I've got 3,300 some more people in my connections, and they are my followers also. And I have been able to talk to around 254 people, in majority in USA, and then in Europe, another part of the living in. I live in Pakistan, and I have started podcasting. So the podcasting is one of amazing thing I have found in my life, although very late, but it is amazing that it built the trust and confidence, and it has helped me a lot. But now, I've having said this all, now the point is, how do I generate value for them and for myself? Okay, can I
Um,
add something more for you? I want to. I am abundance wala and working on abundance. I want to unleash the abundance of health, wealth, and happiness. I
mm,
believe all of our problems are just because of scarcity mindset, and the
mm,
solution is abundance mindset. So I am working on abundance. I believe that
yeah,
these wars are of no use, and if these are all wars are fought for scarcity, for the reason of scarcity, and the solution is abundance. And for that matter, I want to connect the whole world together against wars, in favor of collaboration, cooperation, and coordination, and in the field of prosperity, health, wealth, and happiness. And
so
for
let me say
yeah,
something. Um, Especially with this context, the kind of work that you do, and maybe the way of doing it is somewhat comparable to what I do. And what I notice is that when I focus on many people, it doesn't work. When I focus on one person, the likelihood of it working, meaning the communication working, is much higher. So yes, it's grand to think of changing the world, and in my field of work for sure, and in yours maybe, it actually works one person at a time. So the question is not how can you get 9 billion people to consume your content and maybe even pay for it, or somehow contribute to your wealth financially. But the question is, how can you get the next person to do that? And that's what I always do. When I offer coaching, I try to do that by giving coaching to a person without them having to pay for it, so that they can have an experience and then decide, am I going to do that? Is this something that is valuable for me? So for me, it doesn't work to think of more than just one person at a time. And I'd recommend you reflect on that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been also doing some, as you earlier said, if somebody reaches you and say, "Hey, Joram, how are you doing? How about, I mean, if we can talk, I mean, out of context and there are no particular reason, what I do, I have been doing same also, and I got the result as you do. People do the same, and you won't got any result. Now, since we've got AI, what I do, I'll get your profile to AI, and then I'll ask AI to write an engaging and convincing message that it makes for you. Then and within seconds, a minute, he'll tell me, he'll be talking about what you're doing and everything that interests you, and then I get the very good results. Yes, that's a fantastic way of what do you call this, making
But who's
this
building the
networking.
relationship?
Yeah.
You're not building the relationship. The AI is building the relationship. That makes a difference. It can be helpful, and actually AI is one of the topics that we can touch on for a moment. But
I was going to
once,
ask about that, actually. Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to add in the bit about AI, but we also have another couple of questions. So obviously, we want other people to speak. So I'll let you finish there and bring in a few
okay,
more.
perfect. Yeah, let me say something about AI, and then we move on to the next question. AI is something that we can use, but a relationship always functions in both directions. So if I'm not engaged in the relationship because I substitute myself with AI, then it's not going to be high quality. I can use AI, sure. I can use it to gather information, to help me nail down the way I write things because I have the ideas, but I don't know how to formulate it, or fine. But I need to be involved. I need to be invested in the relationship. Otherwise, it doesn't work because it has to be both directions. So one thing you can think of is for these both directions. If I move to a new city and I have to rely on my neighbor for, let's say, a hammer because I don't have a hammer, then we are opening a two-way relationship where there's giving and getting, and that is necessary for building a relationship. And AI can help, but it cannot replace that. Okay, let's go to the next question.
So Alyssa is asking, she said, I recently had a meeting with my immediate team about the power of outreach. Do you have any tips that I can give my teams to strengthen their confidence with networking? I know some people struggle with networking on my team. Any thoughts and ideas?
Absolutely. So the hesitation to reach out, in my experience, often comes from not being clear on what is it that I'm offering to that person. Meaning, if I focus on service, the action becomes easier. If I have something clear that I can offer that person that I think the person is going to value, then it's going to be easy to take action. Maybe it's even going to be hard to not take action because I really want them to have that piece of information or that something. So it takes more time for most people to think of what is it that I can offer right now in the beginning of a relationship, but it makes a big difference in terms of how easy it is to take action and how likely are you to get a response or a positive response.
Any suggestions for what one of those might be?
So easy things could be, if you know something about the person, things like podcast episode and insight from that you had. Don't send them just a 3-hour podcast and say, hey, this was interesting, listen to this. Make it personal, relate to, hey, I listened to this, these things stood out to me, could be interesting for you, these are my takeaways. If you want to listen to the whole thing, here you go. Could be blog articles, it could be videos, things like that are very easy. Of course, if you don't know anything about the other person, it's hard to find a piece of content that you want to send them. So then you have to take a step back and actually say, who is this person? Why do I want to have contact with them? And if you can't find out much about them, it's going to be hard. Then it's going to be less of a service that you can offer because the offer has to be personalized. So maybe the first step then is to take more time to understand them and who they are.
I'm going to jump in with one and ask
Okay.
you, Joe, do you have some suggestion for some do's and some don'ts when it comes to networking?
Yes. Let's start with the don'ts. First, don't copy and paste messages to a lot of people. I am currently starting my second podcast, and for the first one, I invited all the people that I like, friends and people that I have in my closer network, to listen to the episodes and subscribe. And I copy pasted the message. I think one person subscribed of 20 people that I invited, and these were people that were close to me. That didn't work, and it's going to be even worse if it's called outreach to people you don't know. Don't copy and paste. Do take time to think about the other person before approaching them, in terms of who are they, what do you know about them, what could be of service to them, what could be valuable for them, what could you do for them. Don't talk too much. You want to listen. So do is listen, ask questions. Do not share anything about yourself. So yes, you want to listen, you want to ask questions, but you also want to share about yourself, because otherwise it's again just a one-way street. We want to have it both ways. They share something, you share something. And the way I learned coaching was that I'm supposed to, in a strict sense of coaching, I'm supposed to not give any input. I'm supposed to ask questions, paraphrase, but not tell anything about me, not share anything. I used to coach relatively strictly following that model, and then I learned that people open up more when they feel they connect with you. And in coaching, that is necessary. People need to open up. So what do? I share with people. You know what? What you're just telling about reminds me of my own struggle with X, Y, and Z. And all of a sudden, the conversation goes much deeper.
Thank you. Let's see if we got any more questions.
This is Lisa. When you were doing your podcast, you have a specific purpose for it, right? So why did you want to do a podcast? And it's in service of some goal. So I'd like to understand that, and then I'd like to understand how did you choose the people that you're going to invite as guests in your podcast based on why you're doing it?
The podcast is in progress. The purpose of it is to help in terms of information as well as inspiration, so help and inspire people to take action. It's called Close the Gap, and it's about that, about stories from people that are good at having an idea and then executing on it. My purpose is helping people to do exactly that, to not just have ideas and dreams, but to take these things that I have in their mind and do something with them, to execute, to close the gap between idea and action. And the people I reach out to are people that I'm inspired by, people that I think I can have a really good conversation with. The podcast is focused specifically around entrepreneurship. So it is about people who have something to do with entrepreneurship that I think I could have a really good conversation with. I invited someone in early January, and that was a result of me on my birthday on the 11th of December. I was in Uzbekistan, and I thought, let me do something interesting for my birthday. So at the breakfast table in the hotel, where I was with a couple of other mentors, business mentors, I took out my phone, gave out a microphone, and asked some questions. I asked every person on the table 2 questions and recorded them. And there was this one person, and his answers were so deep that I thought, with this guy, I can have a really good conversation. So I invited him to the podcast, and he said yes. And I didn't check my calendar, but I think he already scheduled for like 2 weeks from now. It's not going to be live in 2 weeks, but we're going to record in 2 weeks.
All right. So there you go. So there is that intention, and then your own assessment of where it's going, and then being able to take that courage to take a chance of experimenting. Who are the people already in your presence during your birthday, right? So who among these people would be good guests? It's not like everybody can be a guest, right? So you have to intentionally understand who fits within your criteria of who would you want to have a conversation with. Got it.
That's right. And let me add something else to this. When I asked the questions, or when I thought of which questions am I going to ask, I already thought, how can these questions be of service to them? So yes, I want to shoot a cool video with some nice replies or interesting replies, but I want them to be relevant for them too, to be valuable for them too. So because it was the end of the year, I asked, what is one thing that you're most proud of in this year, 2025? And then they answered. And then I asked, what do you wish yourself for 2026? So the value they had was they were asked the question and had to reflect and notice things that first they liked about themselves, and second, things that they wanted more of in the next year. And that is a gift.
Yes, absolutely.
One more question I think we have time to answer before we need to wrap up, which is, have you ever had a networking nightmare, and how did you handle that?
I had one that was, looking back at it, was actually funny, but in the moment it was painful and frustrating. I got to know a person who was organizing an event on the money mindset, how we relate to money emotionally influences our finances. And I found that super interesting, and I told her, hey, I deal with that topic too. I know a lot about that. I've worked with that myself. I like to be part of that in some way. So I asked, how can I contribute? And we started the conversation of how I could contribute. And a week later, I posted on LinkedIn my ideas about this concept. And then she accused me of stealing her ideas and publishing them. I felt insulted. And I wanted to defend myself, and defended myself by but I already posted about this a year ago. You can see it here, but she didn't want to have any of that. She didn't trust me. She didn't believe me. The contact was broken off, and I felt terrible. And then I'm saying it's funny because that's obviously not abundance mindset. It's not a wealth mindset to think somebody steals your idea, writing that how you relate to money impacts your finances. So in that case, what I did is I left it and I said, other opportunities will come. That's fine.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Right. So I thank you everyone for that insightful discussion. I think we have covered all the questions in our designated time. Do you have any last 30-second thoughts, Joram, that you want to share with us?
I would like to challenge you to pick that one person that you've been wanting to be in contact with and reach out to them. It doesn't matter in what way. It doesn't matter if you use AI for helping you think what you could do. It doesn't matter how long you take, but take that action, be that courageous, send that message or reach out to that person. Thank you.
Right. So obviously, before we wrap up, I would like to extend our heartfelt thank you to our incredible workshop leader, Joram Holte-Weber. Your insights and expertise has been really, really special. And I think everybody has really enjoyed this session. I think we've all learned something. We appreciate your time and your effort that you have dedicated to this, and really want to say thank you for sharing your knowledge with us today. And we'll give you a virtual applaud here. And thank you so much. I can see people are saying thanks to you in the chat as well. So thank you again for your time today.
Thank you too. Thanks for being here.
Now, before we continue, let me share with you, everybody, that we have a survey, which every session has a survey. And if you fill the session survey in, you receive a 1-month free mentee subscription to the mentoring club. Now, if you do several, you get several months. So, for example, if you were to complete 6 session surveys, you get a coupon code for 6 months subscriptions free as a mentee, which I think is a great offer. So please fill in the survey. It also helps us to improve with what we do and make sure that we continue doing the best work when we do our events. And you can see on the screen here that the first 10 respondents will also be eligible to receive some exclusive giveaways. So that's even more of an encouragement for you guys to fill in the survey. So please do. As you know, this is part of the mentoring club that we're doing this. So if you're interested in being a mentee or a mentor and you want to register, here are some codes for you to click on, some QR codes. So please do that too. I hope that some of you will be interested in this. I can tell you that I am a mentor, but I am also a mentee. Very, very helpful. If you want to dive deeper into leadership, which I think that some of you do want to do, there are also workshops available that we offer. Again, here's the QR code. So please click on that. Now, if you sign up today, you get a 25% discount, and you can see the code here on the screen. The promo code is LFS 2026-WKP. So again, please take advantage of this. I think you'll find that very helpful.
It's a bit earlier about the challenge. Jeremy has challenged us that you must meet a person whom you inspire for. So I inspire Peter Diamandis. Is there the people around 19 people are in the room, and I am requesting everyone if someone can get me through Peter Diamandis. So just because I have given that challenge to myself, it's been 6 months. I'm failing in that. So is there anybody who can get me through?
Well, there is the opportunity to network with everybody here on this channel. So I would recommend that you do that, because they're like-minded people here. So that's an opportunity for you to do that within the sessions today.
Yeah, great. I'll do. So surely. Thank you so much for the chance, Eva.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful.
So the next session is going to be From Survival to Leadership, which is the power of reinvention. Feel free to connect with fellow attendees, as I mentioned. Share your thoughts, engage with one another in the chat. It's a fantastic opportunity to expand your network and exchange ideas with like-minded people. And in just a moment, we were going to play the video, which is about the mentoring club. It talks about the deeper understanding of the mentoring club's vision and mission and core values. And it has some insights from mentees, mentors, volunteers, donors, and supporters. I'm going to remain here as your host. So if you have any questions or need assistance, so don't hesitate to reach out. Let's make the most of the time to connect and learn more about the amazing work that the mentoring club is doing.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Weefling. I'm a leader, and I look for how to make impossible merely difficult and then eventually inevitable. Yep, when something so-called bad happens, I dig inside the doggy poop for the diamonds and figure out, what does this crap make possible? I have lots of experience making impossible possible over the last 20 years, and sorry to say, it's not difficult. In 1895, Lord Kelvin said heavier than air flying machines are impossible. And that's when there were birds, people. Birds. Okay, so look, lots of times smart people, including us, think something's impossible when we just don't know how yet. Now here's the two things we need to overcome to get from impossible to merely difficult and then eventually inevitable. First, overcome learned helplessness. It's not someone else doing it to us. We're not a helpless victim. Yes, there's always things outside of our control, but take control. Ask, what did I contribute to this situation and how might I make a positive impact, a transformation? And then stop, think, organize, plan, big why, big who, big what, before how. The rush to solution is one of the biggest reasons for failure. So build your strength, build your commitment, and make impossible inevitable. Woohoo!
I am a leader who likes to listen first. I cannot say the number of times where I've been in conversations with mentees, with my mentors, with business clients or whoever, that by just listening, you hear what they really are trying to tell you, what they really want to get accomplished, and what are the path forward to make it a win-win for everyone. I'm so surprised with how many people think that, well, I should be doing all the talking, or if you're not saying something, that means you're not important, or whatever the thought process is that many people have for always talking and not listening. But then when one just is quiet for a moment, really trying to understand, it gives them the opportunity to follow up with questions for that situation, for that opportunity. And those questions normally are the best way to lead to some meaningful results for everyone involved. So as a leader, I like to listen first.
Hi, I'm Dr. Leslie Pedersen. I'm a mentoring specialist and I work with the Mentoring Club as a mentor and an affiliate. My leadership is in the mentoring space and communication, particularly with leaders. My work is very values-based. I believe that, and from experience in my own space as a mentee until I sort of moved into the realm of mentoring and being a mentor, that values and integrity are just so pivotal and crucial for that relationship to work, and for the person who's getting the mentoring support or support in any of their professional or personal development that they are having, that's actually what leads it and what guides the interactions, the communication, the conversations, and obviously the outcomes from that. Personal story is probably a whole lot of that. And certainly for me, when I watch mentors grow and develop in their confidence and their ability to support others and their real desire and passion to do that, I really know that I'm making a difference in the work that I do and in that leadership role that I take. That is the way that I lead forward in my business, in my personal life and professional life.
In 1998, an epiphany led me to the goal of transitioning my career from the Philippines to Silicon Valley. 2 years later, I met with people in the Valley to find a job. The dot-com bubble was bursting. I didn't get a job, but I met over 150 people. In 2002, 3 of my contacts hired me. I joined their internet consulting company. 8 years later, I became Chief Operating Officer and part owner, then exited in 2020 to focus on the Mentoring Club, my give back passion project. The Mentoring Club connects working people to accomplished leaders for leadership development mentoring. With a growing community of hundreds of mentors, mentees, volunteers, donors, and partners globally, we are changing the world one leader at a time.
What is my vision for the Mentoring Club? When I started the Mentoring Club in 2016, I declared that our mission is to provide a mentoring community for young leaders. When we launched, not only young leaders signed up, mid-career people and advanced career people signed up. And so we evolved our mission to provide a mentoring community for aspiring and seasoned leaders, where seasoned leaders refer to both the mentors and the mentees. Today, anywhere in the world, we help working people find mentors who can guide them to develop the skills they need to achieve their career and life goals. We help mentees fulfill their goals through meaningful work that creates positive impact in the world. We believe that when we're doing meaningful work, that's when the leaders in us come out, because we care about the results. And when we care about the results, then that is how we can make a positive impact in the world. Ultimately, my vision is that as mentees become successful leaders, my dream is for them to become mentors to others. And that's how the cycle of giving back can continue, hopefully without end, hopefully even long after I'm gone. One of the ways we attract people into the Mentoring Club is to share our leadership core values. Our anchor values are trust, leadership, and community. Under trust, we believe that integrity, honesty, and commitment are what make us trustworthy as individuals and professionals. Under leadership, we believe that health, vision, and execution are all needed to be successful leaders. One without the others pretty much leads to nothing. We have to have all of them. And it is understandable that not all of us will be great at both visioning and execution. So if you're great at visioning, find somebody to help you execute. And if you're great at execution, find somebody whose vision you can support and help execute. That way, both of you can become successful leaders. And the last anchor value, community. Under community, we believe that humanity, contentment, family are the social grounding forces that make us feel fulfilled and happy. At the end of the day, even though we're successful as leaders, if we don't have anybody to share that success with, then it will be a lonely success. And so we encourage everybody to think about their values. And if those values align with ours, then this may be just the right community to be a part of.
What is the mystery to life? It's fulfillment. Feelings come and go. Values kind of get you through the pain. They get you through the good times. They get you through a lot of things, but they are a higher level of consciousness and meaning.
I'm Professor Pete Alexander. I would like to share with you one of my top personal values, which is fun. And what is more closely related to fun than anything else? Laughter. As children, we often laughed over 100 times per day. Unfortunately, as adults, we're lucky if we smile, chuckle, or laugh maybe 5 times a day. That's why I became a laughter yoga ambassador, to be able to help others laugh more and live better and help overcome life's daily challenges. When we laugh for at least 5 to 6 seconds, our bodies release positive endorphins that give us many health benefits, including stress relief. Laughter is such a powerful tool that we can use it anytime.
Hi, my name is Nadia Rohina. I am the mentee and the volunteer at the Mentoring Club. I'd like to talk about honesty. I think this is truly core value, and even though I didn't appreciate it right away, I came to learn that without honesty, there is no clear vision, there is no integrity, there is no learning. Okay, I started with some level of illusions about how life works and who am I, and it took me a while to start learning in more details, and further I progressed, further I needed that honesty to accept some limitations that I have, to accept some limitations other people have. Honesty is something that helps to discern what do you do, why do you do, how do you do. Everything only works when we are honest. And I'd like to hear more stories about that and hope you have a good one.
Hi, I'm Arnold Pedregal, and I've been volunteering with the Mentoring Club for a few years now. One of the core values I wanted to talk about is family, keeping our loved ones close. To me, family is everything. They're the foundation of our lives and the reason we strive to do better. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that jobs and careers have come and go, but family is constant. At the Mentoring Club, we value family because it mirrors what we aim to build here, which is a community where we uplift, support, and inspire one another, just like family. Whether as mentors, mentees, or volunteers, we understand the importance of creating those meaningful connections that help us thrive in both our personal and professional lives. Let's cherish and prioritize our families, both at home and within this community. Thank you, and have a great day.
Hi, my name is Emily Hu, and I am a leader. Not because that's my title, but because people trust me with hard problems. I lead forward by doing the work first. I build, I test, I fail fast, and I tell the truth about what I learn, whether it's engineering, clinical operations, investing, or professional sports. I don't ask others to take risks that I haven't taken myself. I mentor by raising standards and supporting at the same time. I don't lower the bar to make things comfortable. I help people to build the skill, judgment, and confidence to clear it. I believe leadership is about leverage, not control. My job is to see patterns early, remove friction, and give people clarity so that they can move faster than they thought possible. I lead with accountability and I lead with experience. If something works, the team gets credit. If something fails, I own it and we fix it. And I lead by investing in people before they're obvious bets. The future isn't built by perfect resumes. It's built by capable people who are willing to learn, adapt, and act. That is how I lead. Forward with purpose, and with others, not ahead of them.